PR Connections Radio presents
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub Recap here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And on this edition, we are going to be going over the most recent game the Vegas Golden Knights did. And it was here at T-Mobile Arena. And it was a return for the Vegas Golden Knights. We would see a former member of the VGK make his promptu return to Vegas and get a standing ovation and a tribute video by the Vegas Golden Knights. And that was a touching moment in this game. There was also some lineup changes that we will go over doing this recap show. So we're going to be going over all of that here on this episode of Vegas Hockey Hub with your host, Ian Rachiele. And there's going to be a lot to go over, and we'll be doing all of that here on this episode. I also want to say very quickly, go to our social media pages at Vegas Hockey Hub and check out all the amazing content we have on the network. We upload every single day onto all of our social media pages, so go to that and check out all the content. And we're going to be doing all of that here on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap. Now, when it came to this game with the Washington Capitals and your Vegas Golden Knights, it's kind of fascinating to look at the one key difference that happened heading into this game, and that was the changes that happened with the defensive pairings. Now, you have kind of kept the same defensive pairings for majority of the season. We kind of know who is going to be on certain lines, but for this game heading into this matchup against the Washington Capitals, we saw a shift in the defensive pairings. So it was no longer Alex Pietrangelo, Noah Hanifin, Brayden McNabb, Shea Theodore, Nicholas Hague, and Zach Whitecloud. Actually, with Nicholas Hague being out recently, we've actually seen a situation where Ben Hutton and Zach Whitecloud have been on the same defensive pairings. So heading into this matchup, Bruce Cassidy decided to make a change with the Vegas Golden Knights, and it is exactly what you see down here and was the starting lineup in the defensive pairings for this game that just wrapped up at T-Mobile Arena. So what this was the first defensive pairing would end up being Shea Theodore and Alex Pietrangelo. By the way, this could be a possibility for the Four Nation tournament way down the road. I'm talking about months down the road, but this could be the defensive pairings for the Four Nations tournament. Alex Pietrangelo and Shea Theodore on defensive pairing 1. Defensive pairing 2, Noah Hanifin and Zach Whitecloud. This is something new. This is something that we have not actually seen with the Vegas Golden Knights organization. Kind of curious to see how this would look with Hanifin and Whitecloud. And then on the third defensive pairing, we actually saw this a little bit a while ago, about a month before, with the, for example, the LA Kings game. You had Brayden McNabb and Caden Korczak. The case in reference was Shea Theodore was out with an illness. They had Caden Korczak step in for that game. But yeah, Brayden McNabb and Caden Korczak being on the same defensive pairing for your Vegas Golden Knights. So for really what we're seeing here, really interesting that the pairings were swapped. Every single defensive pairing was moved. So like I mentioned before, it was Hanifin and Pietrangelo. Now it's Theodore and Pietrangelo. Instead of it being McNabb and Theodore, they have split them up entirely, and it is now Hanifin and Whitecloud. And then Caden Korczak no longer being being on the fourth line forward like it was in the game previously. He is now on the third defensive pairing alongside Brayden McNabb, who earlier this week was given that contract extension for good for him. So with these defensive pairings changing, it was going to be curious to see how this team would perform. Not great, if we're going to be honest. As a matter of fact, watching this game back, it was actually very apparent what was going wrong with this game. And, changing up the defense, that is fine and dandy. But the reality was when you saw this game and you look at what we're going to be talking about in just a little bit, defensive pairings being changed did not do much in terms of success in this game for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, getting into the starting lineup for the Vegas Golden Knights, the lines did not change much. However, there is one notable difference. Now, on the first line, you have Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel, and Pavel Dorofeyev, 3 of your best goal scorers so far this season for the Vegas Golden Knights. Really good to see them be on the same pairing out here in Vegas. On the second line for the Vegas Golden Knights, you have Tomas Hertl, Nicholas Waugh, and Keegan Kolesar. Likely explained a few recaps ago. Kolesar and Waugh being promoted from essentially the fourth line into the second line, and with Hertl being added to it. And then on the third line, you have Brett Howden, William Karlsson, and Alexander Holtz. This has kind of been the really determined, solid contributor line, and we actually will see this line make a contribution in this game later. We're going to talk about that. And then on the fourth line, we saw a defenseman once again be on this fourth line. As you have Cole Schwint, you have Tanner Pearson, but it's not Kaden Korczak this time. It's Ben Hutton, who's going to be on the forward line, essentially 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. Yes, it is a rarity when you're talking about overall games, but it does happen with your Vegas Golden Knights. And then in net for your Vegas Golden Knights would be Ilya Samsonov. So Ilya Samsonov playing against a team that did draft him in the first round all those years ago. So even though he played for Toronto for the last couple of years, the fact that he's going up against his former team, we kind of hoped that we were going to see something really good come from Samsonov in this game. I have to shrug my shoulders and unfortunately declare that we did not see a great performance from Ilya Samsonov in this game tonight. But the main story and the guy that was the center of attention for everyone in this game was Logan Thompson. Logan Thompson, seeing him back in the Vegas Golden Knights out there at T-Mobile Arena, he was someone who had been a fan favorite. I definitely know that I was a fan favorite of what I saw from him. And overall, when it comes to Logan Thompson, this is a player that is beloved by the fans. The teammates seem to like him. And unfortunately, was traded during the 2024 NHL draft that was here in Vegas. He goes to the Washington Capitals. And man, oh man, what an amazing start to the year it has been for the Washington Capitals. I mean, this is a Washington Capitals team that is 12-4-1. They have arguably one of the best records in all of the Eastern Conference, and Logan Thompson is someone to congratulate for that. He has had an amazing first start to the year. I know Charlie Lindgren is also out there with the Washington Capitals, but a lot of the tension, and rightfully so, is justified and deservedly with Logan Thompson. So yeah, with him returning to Vegas, I did like what we saw from him. And him putting up 40 saves, by the way, is really a testament to how amazing Logan Thompson can be as a goaltender. Making 40 saves out of 42 shots on net by a shooting, hungry, offensive-minded team like the Vegas Golden Knights have been in the first half of this year. So really solid job by him. I like what we saw from Logan Thompson. And overall, we're going to get into everything that happened in this game. But 40 saves for former Golden Knights goaltender Logan Thompson. Absolutely incredible performance. And I know player of the game is supposed to go to a Vegas Golden Knights player. But just know that if it was anybody on those teams, Logan Thompson would have gotten the nod for player of the game. But we'll talk about who the player of the game is later on the show. So, Vegas Golden Knights, Washington Capitals, T-Mobile Arena. And let's get into the action here on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap with your host, Ian Rachiele. Now, getting into the game itself, to kick this off, the Vegas Golden Knights would actually, unfortunately, fall behind the 8 ball as about 4 minutes into the game, Tomas Hertl would get a tripping penalty. He would go to the penalty box, the only penalty of the game for the Vegas Golden Knights. So discipline was better than what we have seen in recent performances. One and only penalty, but it would hurt the Vegas Golden Knights with this penalty, as on the power play, the great 8, the guy who is chasing the great one right now, Alex Ovechkin, would score goal 864 of his career. And right now, Alex Ovechkin, what a historic season he's having so far. This guy wants to break the record. All right. This is a guy who, after scoring this goal, was 29 goals away from Alex Ovechkin getting it to Wayne Gretzky. All right. 11 goals already on the year for Alex Ovechkin. You know, there were some people who were doubting if he was regressing as a player because he wasn't scoring as many goals as he was in his prime a few years back. Well, this season, he has lit a fire under himself, and he is doing an amazing job out there in Washington. But yeah, the first goal of the game for Alex Ovechkin, there's going to be more down the line in this episode, but he scores goal 864 of his career while he is chasing the great one in goals scored in his career. But yeah, unfortunately, that's just the reality. Hurdle went to the box, opened up on the penalty kill for Vegas, and they did not capitalize as they went 0 for 1 on the penalty kill in this game. And then later on, Alex Ovechkin, funny enough, would get the only penalty of the game on Washington's side. He would get a hooking penalty. He would go to the penalty box. And Vegas did not capitalize here, even though there was an opportunity by Pavel Dorofeyev that looked like it could have gone in. It unfortunately got stopped by Logan Thompson at a split second, and he ended up making a really good save. Vegas is still down 1-0. So after the penalty was killed off by Washington, so Vegas was 0 for 1 on the power play and 0 for 1 on the penalty kill in this game. So special teams not looking amazing in this game for Vegas. The Vegas Golden Knights would go down 2-0 at about halfway into the first period. Jacob Chunkrin, he would score on the defensive end for the Washington Capitals and would make it a 2-0 game. Now, I do want to mention that Dylan Strome had a 2-assist performance. He had an assist on the Ovechkin goal, and then he has an assist here on this goal as well. So overall for the Vegas Golden Knights, being down 2-0, kind of looking like what happened in the last game where they started down 2-0 when they were in Salt Lake City. So what needs to get done for Vegas? Well, they need to get back on offense. They need to start scoring some goals. How are you going to do that? Well, how about calling your middle six and making some magic happen? As towards the end of the first period, Brett Howden would light up the lamp, put the puck right past Logan Thompson, and it would be a 2-1 game with about 45 seconds left in the first period, so Vegas would only be down by 1. Now, as much as I want to just crown Brett Howden, and I want to say congratulations on his 7th goal of the season, I have to give praise to Alex Pietrangelo. Alex Pietrangelo had a nice setup on this play, made the right read, got it over to Howden to put it in the back of the net. So, 2-1 at the end of the first period, but that has to do a lot with Brett Howden and the good assist by Alex Pietrangelo. In the second period, to start out the second, Vegas really did not look great. A Jacob Vrana goal by Washington would then put them up again by 2 over Vegas. So being down 3-1 in the first 5 minutes of the second period, not great for the Vegas Golden Knights. And fortunately for Vegas, about halfway into the second period, the middle six would contribute for the last time in this game, as Keegan Kolazar, who is on the second line tonight, him and Waugh being on that second line with Tomas Hurdle. Keegan Kolazar with his 5th goal of the season and would make it once again a 1-goal deficit for Vegas. It would be a 3-2 deficit halfway in the second period. Tomas Hurdle with an assist, but more importantly, your superstar Jack Eichel with his 23rd assist of the season for the Vegas Golden Knights. So Jack Eichel already this year just racking up assist after assist after assist. As a matter of fact, he is averaging well over an assist per game for the Vegas Golden Knights this season. And getting towards the end of the second period for your Vegas Golden Knights, Alex Ovechkin would capitalize on a Vegas Golden Knights mistake. He would get past the defenders, and after a nice little, shimmy move, a nice little set, he would score his second goal of the game. That would be his 12th of the season and goal 865 of his career. That would put him at 28 to go when trying to go get Wayne Gretzky. And Alex Ovechkin putting the Capitals up by 2 was really interesting to see. And by the end of the second period, it felt like all the electricity was gone. The energy was depleted. The Vegas Golden Knights did not look like a cohesive unit by the end of the second period. And really, in that third period, there could have been more than just one goal that was given to Washington in the third period. Not really a good display by Vegas. I wanted to keep on mentioning this. The turnovers need to stop. All right, this isn't a bakery. This isn't your mom and dad's mom and pop shop. We're not handing out cherry turnovers, apple turnovers. All right, we're not turning over the puck as often as we should. And, when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, it's becoming a little bit of a problem. The amount of unnecessary turnovers, the amount of interceptions when you're shooting the puck across your body from left to right, that is just interception city going the other way. So I also have to mention this was a bad outing by Ilya Samsonov. He only had, unfortunately for him, 20 saves in this game. So for Ilya Samsonov, not a good look for him. 20 out of 24 for him. And unfortunately for Vegas, they would pull Ilya Samsonov with a few minutes left. And this would be a hat trick for the Great Eight, as Alex Ovechkin would score his 13th of the season and put him at 866, putting him 27 away from Wayne Gretzky. So overall, a remarkable night for Alex Ovechkin with this hat trick, getting closer and closer to Wayne Gretzky's record. And the Vegas Golden Knights leave this game with a 5-2 loss against the Capitals. And unfortunately for Vegas, this was just a sloppy performance. Good news for them. They're still, 11-5-2. Congratulations. Good for you. But the amount of unnecessary plays and the amount of lack of unity and the lack of, hey, we're going to have this synergy here. We're going to come over here. We're going to score. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're not seeing that with the Vegas Golden Knights, and it's unfortunate to see. Now, player of the game. As much as I want to be super negative and say that nobody on the Vegas Golden Knights deserved player of the game, that is not necessarily true. Tomas Hertl, not only did he have an assist early in this game, but when you saw him in possession of the puck, on the power play, not on the power play, him being in the neutral zone, on the back check, on the forecheck, Tomas Hertl had a really good performance tonight. He was one of the only players that you can actually make an argument was trying to win and trying to actually put up an effort for the Vegas Golden Knights. So Tomas Hertl, player of the game for Vegas, was the standout among this loss. But Logan Thompson, 40 saves out of 42 shots. He would be player of the game. He still had the VGK jersey on his sweater. So for Vegas moving forward, they're going to be taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is going to be a very interesting matchup considering how much of a hot start Toronto has had alongside Vegas and Washington. And there's going to be a lot we're going to go over on that recap show because we do this for every single game for the Vegas Golden Knights. But yeah, Toronto is next. We're going to cover all of that here on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap. And until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rachiele, and go Knights, go.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.